Batman and Robin number 10, written by Peter Tomasi, art by Patrick Gleason. Last issue was a tie-in to Night of the Owls, so this is pretty much separate entirely. And this issue picks up with 4 people who were all hurt by Batman in some way or another. They were all criminals, and then Batman got a little bit too vengeance-y with them. Just one guy I want to point out on this page is literally just a dude who has a batarang like through his temples, and he is not okay. Also a dude with a permanent boot mark on his face. So yeah, anyway, they're interesting. They're all being met up at a meeting here of a dude named Terminus who's got some sort of illness going on with him, and he's like, here's the deal. You've all been hurt by Batman. So have I. You've all been running errands for me without your knowing, and now I finally have everything I need for us all to take revenge on Batman. And they're like, okay, what do you want to do? He's like, I'm going to kill Batman before I die. And that's basically where it leaves off for there. Then we get, at the Wayne Manor, we get Alfred, Bruce, Dick Grayson, Tim Drake, and Damian all posing for a portrait. And Bruce is just making constant suggestions of like how to make it better or whatnot. And Tim is just constantly like throwing punches at Damian, verbally obviously, just saying how he's like Damian makes some offhanded comment about a 17th century painter, and Tim goes, thanks for reminding me what an arrogant idiot you are, Damian. And I'm like, dude, too much. Regardless, they're all still posing for the portrait, and they're still making snide remarks at each other, to which Tim mentions something that happened in Batman Incorporated before the New 52, where he killed a guy. I didn't read it, so regardless. Bruce tells the painter to take a break while he just tells his kid, knock it off. And basically he tells him, look, you all were Robins. That's something that should bring you together, not try to like have you guys prove which of you is the best Robin. That's not what this is for. You need to be, brothers or whatever. And he's like, yeah, okay, great. And Damian and Tim storm off. And Bruce is like, I don't know. I wanted us to be able to come together, not with the capes and cowls on, and like do something in order to celebrate our time together. I don't know, whatever. So then we cut back to Terminus, who I guess is like setting up his big thing to attack Batman, and then his body starts decaying, and we see he only has like 30 hours left, or maybe it's days. They don't really put a marker on which is which, but regardless, he hops in this huge like needle machine that pokes him like all over his body in order to give him some sort of infusion to help him stay alive for a little longer. So then we cut to a rooftop where Red Hood, Nightwing, and Tim Drake, Red Robin, have all met up, and they don't know who's called this meeting. Somebody's gotten them all together. They're not exactly happy that they're here at all. But then Damian shows up, and he's like, I'm the one who called you guys here. And Tim's like, dude, in the book Batman Incorporated, you have a whole bunch of assassins coming after you for like $500 million. Why are you out right now? And he's like, oh, you mean these assassins? And he just shows some strung up. And Damian just lays down the law to all these guys of like, here's the deal. I know I'm the best Robin. And in the coming days, I am going to be attacking each of you and beating you at something that you consider yourselves to be the best at. As such, I will humiliate you and take my claim as the best Robin. And the other 3 are like, what in the hell are you talking about, kid? And he's like, I'm warning you so that way you can't say I surprised you. Goodbye. And he just goes off. And honestly, I feel like the playing off here between how everyone's just making fun of Jason the whole time is just fantastic. So then we cut down to Bruce and Alfred down in the Batcave, who are just making some batarangs. And basically, Bruce is playing like protective parent of not letting anyone know that Damian killed another guy after the guy that Tim mentioned. So Alfred's like, are you sure that's best to keep things from them? And he's like, I'm just doing what's best for my son. I promised him I wouldn't tell nobody. And then the bat signal goes off. So then later on, Tim Drake arrives in the Batcave, and he goes to talk to Batman in the chair. But of course, Damian's sitting there, and he just... Tim's like, oh, you want to fight now? That's it? This is how it is? He's like, no, I'm going to use logic and reasoning with you, Tim, because that's what you're best at. And so he just walks through how Tim has constantly been on him about being like a murderer. And then he shows footage from the culling, which I'm not going to recap, but regardless, Tim very nearly killed a guy. He didn't, but he very nearly did. And they get into a little fight, but it's still mostly verbal, where basically Damian's telling him like, hey, just admit that you had murderous intent and that it's like that you're not better than me in that because you still had it. And he's like, fine, I wanted to kill the guy, but I didn't. Is that what you wanted to hear? And he's like, yeah, exactly. Because now you understand that you need to accept me as a Wayne and a Robin. And Tim just puts back on his helmet and he's like, screw this. And he leaves. So then we cut back to Terminus. He's getting out of his little needle bath thing. And as he steps out, he puts his hand on the wall and it starts like glowing. So I guess he has some sort of energy power or something. But when he steps out, he is fully buff now. He's not old anymore. And he's like, this will finally give me the time I need to lay waste to a man and his city. And we see that for somehow, some way, he's gotten in possession of a giant nuclear warhead. And I guess that's the plan, is just launch a nuke. It was good. It was fine. I do want to say art-wise, it's a little bit shaky on some of the faces. And I feel like I made this point about Gleason before, where when it's just people's faces, I feel like sometimes it goes way too, maybe it's the inker even, but whoever's in charge of it goes way too heavy on the blacks on the face. It just makes it feel like every scene is just this gothic horror. But regardless, it's fine in most general sense. Writing-wise, I enjoyed it. Sets up two separate plots that hopefully are going to crisscross in at least a little bit of a way. But I very much enjoy the idea of the Robin plot, where he's just going to go out and prove that he's better. So, yeah, no, it's solid throughout. I'll give this one I'll give it a 7.5. I think it's very good. The only thing that's keeping it down for me is the fact that the Terminus thing, especially the first page reveal of all the like Z-list villains, like they're just thugs off the street that just happen to have physical deformities now. I don't know. It's not the strongest page to open with. It's an interesting looking page, but it's like this is our threat. A dude who has a boot mark permanently in his face. Great.